Expensive hotels, pricey Amazon purchases, and thousands of dollars spent on international flights. It's what the mayor of the city of South Fulton is accused of, all at the cost of taxpayers.
Why are all these black politicians taking trips to Ghana on the taxpayer dime? If you guys will recall, one of the major criticisms of Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, is the fact that she promised that she wasn't going to do international travel as the mayor of Los Angeles because she was there for the citizens of Los Angeles. However, when the most destructive wildfires that she had forewarning about broke out in her city, she was in Ghana watching the inauguration of their president for some unknown reason. And even more curious, the taxpayers were on the hook for that particular trip. And it turns out she wasn't alone. There are other black mayors, other woke activists turned politicians that were also misappropriating taxpayer funds in order to make that trip. And the one that we're going to talk about in particular today is a mayor of South Fulton who describes himself as the first ever Black Lives Matter organizer to be elected to the mayorship. And he is somebody known as Khalid Kamu, who reportedly misappropriated $26,000 in funds in order to make this trip to Ghana to party in Africa, which again has nothing to do with the city of South Fulton.
Yeah, Linda, we spoke with some council members today and they told me they just want the mayor to be honest about this spending. One council member calling on the city manager to conduct an audit, but I caught up with the mayor this afternoon in this parking lot and he told me he stands by these purchases and he feels he was within his scope as a mayor to spend what he spent. South Fulton resident Rashad Snellings wants to know if this trip to Africa was on the city's dime.
I wanted to find out if taxpayers paid for this trip.
For more than 20 days, Snellings says the mayor of South Fulton, Khalid Kamal, who now goes by the name Mayor Kobe, documented his trip to Ghana on Instagram.
We should not be asked to go without something so that our elected officials can travel all over the globe.
But even more crazy about this is that we've actually seen this mayor before, and I'm going to reveal this to you for those of you who don't remember a video that I dropped nearly 2 years ago, because based on the crime that he committed before, he should have been out of office back then. Now, we're going to get into this, we're going to break this down, but before we do, I want to remind you that on February 15th and February 16th in Newark, New Jersey, I will be at DebateCon 5. I will be participating in the Sunday portion of it, which will be on February 16th. Please get your tickets if you want to see me in person, link in the top of the description.
That's right, Tom and Christine, would you believe it's 11 o'clock at night and City Council is still talking about the mayor's expenditures? Well, City Councilwoman Helen Willis says the mayor spent tens of thousands of dollars and is yet to account for it.
And the council was totally blindsided. We didn't know that had occurred.
Councilwoman Helen Willis charges Mayor Khalid Kamal bought items with his city-issued purchase card. She says the mayor, who goes by the name Mayor Khalid, has yet to justify those expenses to her liking. Did the mayor spend $26,000 in a short period of time on his city card?
Within the last fourth quarter of 2024, it was approximately $26,000, correct.
So you know that this is a problem when the Fulton County City Council is in session all the way to 11 o'clock at night, just looking over the ridiculous purchases that were put on the card by Khalid Kamal. And again, for those of you who don't remember, we've actually talked about Khalid Kamal before. In fact, in July of 2023, this guy, who while he was the mayor of South Fulton, was arrested for breaking and entering into a random citizen's lake house.
Mayor, why were you on that property?
I just wanted to see the house. I do apologize to the owners. I thought it was abandoned.
Embattled South Fulton Mayor Khalid Kamu was arrested Saturday morning on charges he trespassed on this property on Cascade Palmetto Highway and committed first-degree burglary, which is a felony. Sources say the property owner held Kamu at gunpoint until cops arrived, but police have yet to confirm that. In his mugshot at the Fulton County Jail, he smiled big. But minutes earlier, he told Fox 5's Deidre Dukes he was sorry.
I apologize for the negative attention this has brought to our city.
His arrest is just the latest in a string of bizarre incidents in South Fulton since he took office last year.
I hope that the spotlight that is on our city right now will highlight some of the inequities that have been happening.
So you're guilty of the charges?
I think that's for the voters to decide.
Now look, you can call me crazy, you could say I'm too into the prejudging and I should respect the innocent until proven guilty, but when you are a politician and you break into somebody's lake house and you are discovered in said lake house, the police are called and you are arrested at the scene, and then you have a mugshot where you look like you're high on crack, I would think that the people would push you to resign from office. I mean, felony burglary charges are not something that is a joke in the state of Georgia, but for some reason, after I did this story, I just assumed that the city would work itself out and this guy would no longer be in power. But needless to say, they left him in power, and once a thief, again repeating with the theft, this guy decided that he was going to rob the taxpayer in order to go party in Africa. And the crazy thing about this is that he claims that all of these expenses totally justified. All of these expenses, they 100% make sense, because the reason you're going to Ghana is you're going to bring the business from, Ghana, known for their great economy, back to South Fulton. And that economic relationship will be the lifeblood of this city.
Bank records from the mayor's city-issued credit card shows more than $25,000 spent between October and December. Is the city of South Fulton doing any business in Africa?
Not to my knowledge. That's not even a priority.
Councilwoman Helen Willis says this week the council has been investigating the purpose of the mayor's trip and his spending.
He needs to provide an explanation to the people why he has done some of this frivolous and unapproved spending.
Now, obviously, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds absurd. It was also ridiculous and absurd when Karen Bass was saying the same things. These politicians just want to party in Africa on the taxpayer dime, and I find that to be insane. But you know what? This is what people have gotten used to with Democrats, especially Democrats that can use race as the shield. Again, how many times did Tiffany A. Henyard expense luxury travel to the taxpayer before she got somebody to look into her? And by the way, she's still doing it because she's still in office.
Willis says in one case, Mayor Khalid last year took a trip to Africa. Are these expenditures authorized?
According to our purchase policy and our traveling policy, no.
Dozens of residents packed City Hall. Some wanted answers. Willis says city policy dictates city officials must produce receipts within 72 hours after making purchases with the card.
And there is 112 receipts that have not been reconciled or submitted.
Did the mayor violate city policy?
Yes. Some of the city, yes, policy has been violated.
So right here, they break down the dollar amount of the purchases. They talk about the mayor violating city policy, which is obvious. He has 112 purchases that he has not produced the receipts for. And of course, they have a 72-hour policy in which those receipts are to be produced. But again, why is the mayor of South Fulton, somebody who's already arrested for felony burglary, in charge of finances related to Fulton, have access to these credit cards? And of course, there are so few securing mechanisms that he was able to expense a vacation to Ghana.
Is the city of South Fulton doing any business in Africa?
Not to my knowledge. That's not even a priority.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's insane. And you have these people in the city council who are doing their late breaking legislative session in order to go over it. But the outrage is nowhere near where it should be, in my opinion, especially since this guy should have been removed from office when he was arrested for felony burglary. When he broke into somebody's place, the guy said he's not authorized to be here. And the mayor's defense in the public was, no, actually, I was obviously authorized to be in that property, and the homeowner was just freaking out on me for no reason. Again, if I live somewhere, I say you're not allowed to be here, you broke in, and your excuse is, no, I am allowed to be here, we shouldn't side with you. Do we understand that 99 out of 100 times this isn't a crazy mix-up scenario where the burglar is actually in the right? Do we all get that? But apparently the people in South Fulton didn't get that because they voted for this idiot the first time, and then they didn't force him out of office after he got arrested while being the mayor. Again, you trusted somebody with the taxpayer purse with these credit cards who was breaking into homes while he was the mayor.
Does it look like the mayor maybe used it for personal expenses?
Well, I think there's some things that I'm seeing in the public.
Councilman Mayor Pro Tem J.C. Sebastian says Mayor Khalid has some explaining to do.
But there's some things that I see in the public that need some explanation.
I do not believe that it has been determined to be unauthorized.
Councilwoman Linda Pritchett says she asked the mayor to address the matter with the public.
Not at this time. It has not been determined that that has taken place.
We asked the mayor twice for his side of the story, but twice he ignored us. Now, right now, there are no policies on international travel, but the card cannot be used for personal expenses. Councilwoman Willis says they're going to look into this, and other council members say they're going to look into this and see if the mayor violated city policy.
So look, obviously the city of South Fulton should have policies on international travel. There seems to be no reason why at all whatsoever you need to send your mayor internationally on these luxury trips and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is that this local news segment is sincerely lacking in that they didn't actually go over what some of these purchases actually are, because the allegation, or as the super mayor would say, allegations,
false allegations and not facts,
are that these purchases were for personal items, and unless they indicate to you what exactly was personal about them, how could you possibly know? And first and foremost, I will point out that the round trip luxury vacation to Ghana should be classified as personal, but at least you can make the argument that that was a business expense or a justifiable mayoral expense, because remember, they were going to the economic mecca that was Ghana, or probably Wakanda, which is near and around Ghana, in order to bring back the vibranium business to South Fulton. So maybe, just maybe, that is the justification that they're going with for spending all that money on that particular vacation.
Is the city of South Fulton doing any business in Africa?
Not to my knowledge. That's not even a priority.
But some of these other items, we'll just say, for the burglar who was a Black Lives Matter activist who now misappropriated funds with these cards, maybe they're a little bit more questionable if you actually examine them closely. And luckily, the New York Post actually has an article that would indicate that some of this money was probably poorly spent and not very well justified. So Camus, who has denied wrongdoing, documented the extended trip to Ghana last month on social media, according to WSB TV, showing him on videos at a party, also attending a concert in the country's capital. In another video, he is touting the economic development connections that could be made between Ghana and the people of South Fulton. Again, a little bit ridiculous. However, the plane tickets alone were worth over $5,000, and a $1,300 drone and various Amazon purchases were among the myriad of items purchased, according to the documents obtained by WSB TV. Willis reportedly claimed that there are also 112 receipts that need to be reconciled or submitted by Camus, who goes by Mayor Kobe, and those submissions reportedly were supposed to happen within 72 hours.
I went through the documents and discovered multiple plane tickets totaling more than $5,000, including this Air Kenya flight worth more than $1,500. There's also a $1,300 purchase for a drone, a $1,800 Amazon purchase, and $250 spent at a mall in Ghana. Willis says the mayor has violated the city's charter, P-card policy, and travel policy.
I mean, come on, people. What the hell is even happening here? Here you have the mayor of South Fulton, which is not a super large city, but not necessarily a small city, around 100,000 population, traveling to Ghana to make economic connections, supposedly, by going to concerts and parties that he was posting on social media, showing himself living the life, enjoying his time on the taxpayer dime. But in addition to the fact that he spent $5,000 on the tickets traveling internationally, he also, in addition to that, spent $1,300 on an Amazon drone, which I cannot imagine is a sensible mayoral expense that he should be able to charge to a credit card to the city. If you want to buy a video drone so you can mess around with it and have a good time, buy it on your own, spend your own money, or if it's related to something in government like the police force or whatever, have them appropriately expense it. But in addition to that, you have 112 other receipts that this guy also has not submitted for, and it's just ridiculous.
In the meantime, the mayor says he plans to tell his side of things in a newsletter. Get this, he says constituents will have to text news to the number 55444 in order to get that newsletter. We signed up. We haven't seen a newsletter come through yet with his side of things in this matter.
Look, I have to be perfectly honest with all of you guys. This is my favorite part of the entire story, where he says, look, if you want an explanation for my frivolous spending in Africa on my vacation, where I'm seen repeatedly across my Instagram partying in that nation, you know, I'm not going to disclose it in the proper way as is required by the city charter. You have to text this campaign number in order for you to get it, and make sure you text the word news there. And of course, just like like always happens with these politicians, he doesn't even deliver on that. But even more hilarious about this is that after he does this, he's cornered by the local news people. They talk to him, and guess what? He says it's political. Again, as he gave out a campaign number for you to text for information. If you text this number, you will definitely eventually get campaign-related materials from this guy, as he tells you that his opposition is political.
So are you saying your travels were legit? Are you standing by what
absolutely.
you spent?
Absolutely.
I was able to catch the mayor in the parking lot at City Hall. He says he stands by his purchases.
It's really a smear campaign. You will see in the meeting the people that are talking the most are running for mayor in 2025.
And just response, because it was already put out there.
That's it.
You don't want to respond to not submitting? Okay.
This is not a political grab. We have been here before with this mayor. He doesn't care about squandering tax dollars.
And Willis also stated there are more than 100 purchases still unaccounted for, meaning the mayor has not submitted receipts. All of these X's indicate items where receipts have not been turned in. I found city officials have 3 days after a purchase to turn in receipts.
Now, what's crazy about this is that in response to all the criticism about him using this money for a luxury trip and all the different various problems that he's had throughout his administration, the mayor has decided that the real culprit behind this is just this unworkable policy that requires you to submit receipts to the city council within 72 hours, because that is just unworkable. Now, there's no explanation for why he hasn't submitted the receipts from a trip from last month right now, because that would actually, give him more time than the 72 hours. But according to this quote, it's just the unworkable policy designed to target him, which possibly makes it evil, white, and racist. Quote, we all realize we all have not been using the purchase card or travel policy the way that they're outlined in the policy because the policy is unworkable, he said in reference to talking with other city officials. Quote, it was written in a way to trick people up and not to get things done. So the real problem, the real issue, is not the fact that this guy used this card in order to charge money that was unauthorized for his luxury vacation to Africa, to Ghana, just like Mayor Karen Bass, and he attended concerts and all that, and he hasn't submitted the receipts for over 112 purchases, and he also spent $1,300 on an Amazon drone. In reality, the actual issue, the actual problem, the actual thing that we need to worry about is that this policy was written to trip people just like him up. Just like the no burglary law was written to trip him up as well, that time that he decided to break into somebody's lake house. Again, it is absolute madness, but we see this over and over. These Black Lives Matter politicians are quite literally criminals, and none of us should be surprised, since it's not a far step from advocating for the criminal and being one yourself. But this is what this guy does, this is what he's been done, and this is what the voters get for not tossing him out on his ass after that previous burglary, for rallying some of them in his defense and claiming that burglary laws, you not being allowed to break into somebody's place, are actually evil white racism. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the madness in South Fulton. Till next time.